I'm just bored of games that look the same and star characters who look the same and act the same and don't really have any depth to them. I obviously quite like playing as a woman because I'm a woman and I can kind of relate more to that character, but I don't mind playing as male characters either. I'm just looking for breadth, really. I'm looking for games that have different kinds of characters in them. I just want anyone who isn't a cisgender straight white man. I don't necessarily need it to be a woman, but the fact that there are more women just reflects a change that I'm excited to see.
I think video games are great at giving players the tools to embody characters who are very different from themselves and at guiding them into that experience so that they can really see the perspective of someone whose lived experience might be very different from their own. I think games are one of the best mediums for embodiment of any because of the performative quality of game mechanics.
I feel like a lot of people say this to one degree or another, that games made me who I am. In my case, that is quite literally true. By involving myself in online role-playing, for example, in titles like Neverwinter Nights and World of Warcraft, I actually came to better understand my own feminist politics, my own queerness, my own womanhood. I fully embraced what it meant to be a strong woman, because I'd been sort of mousy in the physical world, but online I found the confidence and self-possession to stand up for what I believed in, to make arguments and hold fast to them.
I started writing about video games in 2012, which is the same year as Anita Sarkeesian launched her Kickstarter campaign for her video series Tropes vs. Women in Video Games, which looks at how female characters are represented in games. And since then, there's been kind of a huge response to her videos and also kind of more general conversation around that topic. That means that developers and publishers have started paying attention in a way that I don't think they were quite as much before. Obviously, this conversation has been happening for years, probably since the industry started, but I think that the amount of awareness raised by Tropes vs. Women in Video Games and the conversation around that just meant that it became such a huge thing that it couldn't be ignored anymore.
Well, it's not so much that I can't just jump into the body of a white male character, because I've had to do that for the last 30 years. But it's realizing that there are stories beside the grizzled white dude who gets the girl and saves the universe or saves the kingdom. It's realizing that our stories have value and that it's important to tell them.
For a long time, the game industry was dominated by a particular paradigm that most games fit into, which was the big budget AAA console or PC game. And that was the standard model for how things were made. That landscape has really fragmented over the past few years. And now there are many, many different distribution methods, many different audiences, many different revenue models, and there's a profusion of work that's happening in the margins and in the edges, underground work, low budget, small scale, independent, experimental, just the way you would see it in music, right? But it wasn't happening in games for a variety of reasons, and now it's happening.
If there is anything that is incredibly hopeful to me in this medium, it is that the amount of voices around the world that are making games is increasing exponentially every day. And with every voice that comes, there might be a new type of game, a new type of mechanic, a new type of playing that we haven't seen before.
We need to be telling really interesting stories from all sorts of perspectives, because art sits in the world, and if games are art, they need to reflect that world.